राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी व्रज जनरंजना यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा श्याम सुंदरा जय जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा गौर प्रमानंदे हरे गौर ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज काचार्य स्तोत्र श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज काचार्य स्तोत्र श्रीमती भक्ति सिद्धांत सरकार ठाकुर गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय नामाचार्य हरदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जाए निताय गो प्रमानंदे हरे गो all reach to assemble devotees हरे कृष्णा all reach to assemble devotees हरे कृष्णा all reach to assemble devotees हरे कृष्णा all reach श्री गुरु and गौरांगा सुप्रभात की जय ओम विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निधान नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारण्य विशेष शून्यवाद पांचात्सदेशन. Thank you for joining. So we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge. Let me share. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Namam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Very important verses today also. Today's section we are discussing. Next section 29 to 31. 29, 9.29. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mayi te teshu chapyaham. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mayi te teshu chapyaham. Samoham sarvabhuteषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्. Word to word. Sama, equally disposed. Aham, I. Sarvabhuteshu, to all living entities. Na, no one. Me, to me. Dveshya, hateful. Asti, is. Na, not Priya, dear, yet those who bhajanti render transcendental service to, but Mam unto me, bhaktya in devotion, Mai are in me, te such persons, te shu in them, cha also, api, certainly, aham, I. Translation by the Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend in me. Friend is in me, and I am also a friend to him. I repeat. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Verse number 30. Also another famous verse. अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो भजते मामनन्यवाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्य सम्यग् व्यवसितो हि सा. अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो भजते मामनन्यवाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्य सम्यग् व्यवसितो हि सा. अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो भजते मामनन्यवाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्य सम्यग् व्यवसितो हि सा. Api, even, chet, if, sudurachara, one committing the most abominable actions, bhajate, is engaged in devotion service, mam, unto me, ananya bhak, without deviation. Sadhu, a saint, eva, certainly, sahi, mantavya, is to be considered, samyak, completely, vyavasita, situated in determination, he, certainly, sahi. Translation, Worship Prabhupada. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotion service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. Repeat. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotion service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotion service, he is considered to be saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. The last verse of today's section, 31. क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा सात्वशान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्ता प्रणश्यति क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शाश्वतशान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्ता प्रणश्यति क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शाश्वतशान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्ता प्रणश्यति क्षिप्रं very soon bhavati becomes dharmatma righteous shashvat shantim lasting peace nigacchati attains kunteya o son of kunti pratijani declare no never me my bhakta devotee pranasyati perishes translation by Prabhupada. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. I'll try to understand these verses. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Krupatam Vande Sri Gurum Devatarina Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ismu Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhaya पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्ति रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय शुभपाद की जय गौर भक्तों की जय Thank you for the joining. So here today's section is chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge, verse number 20, 29, 30, 31. So this section is favoritism to his devotees. Last week's section we were discussing about the glories of pure devotion service. The chapter 9 has almost 6 sections. The first one is one must hear from Krishna 1 to 3 and the qualification and disqualification. And then 4 to 10, we have seen opulence of the divine opulence of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, inconceivable potencies of Krishna, 4 to 10. And then 11 to 25, big section where we looked at worshippers and non-worshippers, various types of worshippers, and those who doesn't even worship. So those are all was discussed 11 to 25. And then the last week section was glories of pure devotions, where it is mentioned bhakti is very simple. By simply offering a leaf, a flower, a water, or a fruit, patram, pushpam, palam, toyam. But the key element is by devotion. So by love, bhaktya, patram, pushpam, palam, toyam, yome bhakta prayachati. Tadaham bhakti upahratam asnan pretatma. 2 times is mentioned, stressed. In that we didn't cover the glories of Tulsi Marani is very important. Leaf. The best way to engage in devotions or is best way to actually purify ourselves, best way to attain Krishna is by simply offering Tulsi leaves. Tulsi leaves, it is mentioned, Prabhupada quotes, Tulsi Dalamatriyana Jalena Chulkena Va. So, Prabhupada quotes, I'll quote. And Prabhupada used to have Govinda Dasi, one of the disciples of Prabhupada. Prabhupada instructed her to maintain Tulsi leaves all over his ISKCON. Now that's how it actually started. Yeah, Tulsi Dala Matrena Jalasya Sulukena Va Vikranita Swam Atmanam Bhaktebhyo Bhaktavatsala. Sri Krishna is very affectionate toward his devotees, sells himself to devotee who offers merely a tulsi leaf and a palmful of water. The Supreme Lord is causelessly merciful upon his devotee, so much so that even the poorest man can offer him a little water and a flower in devotion, thus please him. This is due to his affectionate dealing with his devotees. And Prabhupada has given very clear direction on Tulsi Maharani and his glories. Tulsi Maharani, they were growing in Hawaii. Initially, they started going to Dasi and Gaurasundar Prabhu used to be there in ISKCON, Hawaii. Even now, the temple is there. There, they used to grow. It grew up to almost 7 feet tall, and it was blocking the little bit to the entrance, even the temple entrance. Prabhupada said, no, don't cut it. You can never cut Tulsi plants. This is the instruction. In 1971, when Prabhupada came to Hawaii, admired a Tulsi lush garden in front of the entrance to the temple because these Tulsi had grown far larger than we had expected, 7 feet tall. So Tulsi branches were beginning to cover the entrance, and people unavoidably brushed up against her. We pointed this out to Sri Prabhupada and asked his permission to trim some of the branches. He became alarmed and exclaimed, you cannot cut Tulsi. That is the greatest offense. You must never cut her, but you can tie back the branches obstructing the entrance. Even after tying back the branches, Tulsi kept growing and the problem continued. When we told Sri Prabhupada that people had to bend down when passing through Tulsi archway on the way into the temple, he was delighted. He smiled, his eyes sparkled, and he said, that's good. It is good that they have to bow to Tulsi before entering Krishna's temple, because that is greatest mercy. When Sri Prabhupada came for a later visit, he carefully entered the Tulsi archway by going through sideways to avoid brushing against her leaves and branches. So we should be very careful. We should never use scissor when we are plucking the Tulsi leaves also. There is a mantra to pluck the Tulsi leaves. And we should be very sensitively, very gently pluck the Tulsi leaves, except on Dwadasi we shouldn't pluck. So we should sensitively serve Tulsi Maharani. And there we will see. While walking along the walkway to the temple, which was lined with more Tulsi plant, he told his secretary Shamsundar, don't step on her shadow. Even shadow also. Prabhupada was very, very careful not to step even on shadow of Tulsi Maharani. You can understand the significance of Tulsi Maharani. It's because it's as good as so close. Lakshmi Devi herself is saying, you will see that. So Prabhupada showed great respect for Tulsi Devi. In his book, Sri Prabhupada called attention to his exalted position of Tulsi Devi in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 3:16-21. The goddess of fortune Lakshmi is sometimes envious of Tulsi leaves, which are placed at the lotus feet of the Lord, for they remain fixed there and do not move. Whereas Lakshmi ji, although stationed by the chest of the Lord, sometimes has to please other devotees who pray for her favor. Lakshmi ji sometimes has to go to satisfy numerous devotees, but Tulsi leaves never forsake their position, and the Lord therefore appreciates the service of Tulsi more than the service of Lakshmi. You can understand what is that position. Nectar devotion, Sri Prabhupada quotes from Skanda Puran. Tulsi is auspicious in all respects. Simply by seeing, simply by touching, simply by remembering, simply by praying to, simply by bowing before, simply by hearing about, simply by sowing this tree, there is always auspiciousness. Anyone who comes in touch with Tulsi tree in the above mentioned ways lives eternally in the Vaikuntha world. You can see that. That is the glory of the. That's why one must maintain, have Tulsi plants. It doesn't take much time, it doesn't need so many effort, but you just need little instructions how to do. Then you can maintain for winter at least in East Coast. Then you need to have 3-4 plants with winter lights to maintain it. Every day we must offer, even if you don't have deities, you can offer to picture. When you have Tulsi plant, all other miseries and difficulties and so many things, everything can gradually vanish, go away. It's very, very important to have Tulsi plant and nicely serve her. Tulsi Devi can be used so many ways to please the Supreme Lord, but never for gratifying one's senses. To offer Tulsi Devi with a material incentive to destroy one's enemies, to remove anxiety, to make medicine will be a bridge by which one enters the hellish regions. So these days we will see that Tulsi is used for tea and medicine, whatnot. But that is not that her only duty, purpose is only to serve Krishna. Where someone is using that, so sometimes Tulsi plant doesn't stay at any devotee's homes also. Because if you are not properly taking care and properly offering, every day must be offered. As we offer every day, we are trying, thinking, desiring to offer every day fresh leaves, not dry leaves. Sometimes devotees want nice leaves to grow, but only dry leaves offering. No, fresh leaves should be offered, washed, and offered to the Supreme Lord. Sri Krishna or Lord Vishnu. On Radharani's feet, we should never put it, but on the hand of Srimad Radharani, we can give offer. That means she is going to offer at the lotus feet of Krishna. That is what it means. So, in that way, we can offer. We can put in the hand of Sri Prabhupada, and that means he is going to offer to Lord Krishna. That in that sense. But otherwise, it shouldn't be offered to anyone else other than Lord Vishnu and Lord Krishna. So that is the significance of Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam verse. From that section, I think we discussed, and then Krishna mentioned after that how simple bhakti is and how pleased he will be, and how anyone can attain Krishna. Even if some guest comes, no one will be pleased by simply giving him some leaf, some fruit. So what is this? You are like a miser. They will think. But Lord Krishna is pleased even just by. But devotion must be there. The love must be there. So that's what. Then further, Krishna is stressing about whatever one may do, especially in Arjuna's case, he has to fight. Then he was thinking, I should renounce and go to forest. Then Krishna is mentioning, no, what you are not at the highest level. Especially in your situation, you must work. You must offer every activity, whether it's religious duties or not religious, whether it's prescribed or not prescribed. All the duties, everything you must offer to me. So that's why Krishna is bringing that point of yat karoshi, yat joshi, yat dadasi, yat tapasyasi konte, tat kurushu madarpanam. Everything you must offer to me. Naimitya karma, nitya karma, everything. So whatever we may do. So basically, in Arjuna's case, Krishna is stressing the point that you please offer. That is, it is not pure bhakti because he has to, and then as a fighter, he has to fight. So that's why he has to engage in that activity, but at the same time, offer that is nishkama karma and plus gnana mixed with bhakti there. But still, Krishna mentioned at the end, what will be the result by doing that? Then immediately next verse, Krishna is speaking. By simply doing that, by offering everything back to me, then you will come to me. Even though you are not, that is not at the pure bhakti level, but still you will come to me. Not just liberation, not even merging into Brahman effulgence, not even entering into Vaikuntha, but rather directly you come to me and engage in the directly in Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsalras. Directly you attain me. It's a very special. And Vimukti is used in the next verse, in the 28th. The result of the 27th verse, people may ask, what will you get if you offer result? What will be the end result? So that's the 28th verse. Krishna is speaking. Subha asubha phalai evam mokshayase karma bandhana. First of all, by offering that, you will not be in bondage of anything. Pious or impious, both, because subha and asubha. Sometimes people think that, oh, I performed sinful activities. I'll just simply perform pious activity, everything will balance and I will enjoy. That's not the case. Both pious and impious, you have to go up and down in this material world and suffer the consequences. For both separately enjoy and then sometimes you suffer because both are there, pious and impious, positive and negative. But we can never go back to the spiritual world because both are bondage, pious and impious. But one who is engaging, offering everything back to Krishna, whatever the activities may be, but then he will be purified and liberated. That's why in this 28th verse, Krishna is stressing that Subha Asubha Phaler Evam Mokshayase. You will be liberated from this bondage of karma bandhana. Not only that, because Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma. Sannyasa means you are giving up. You are not attached to the results. You are giving up. You are doing the work, but you are giving up. You are not attached to results. You are offering to me. Because of doing that activity, what is happening? Vimuktamam upaisyasi. You will attain me and special liberation. Ordinary liberation means generally there are five kinds of liberation. Sayuja, merging into Brahman effulgence. But that devotee is not never interested in that. Then there is a Sarupya, same form as the Lord in the Vaikuntha Loka. And then same planet as the Lord, Salokya. Then there is Sarishti, same opulence as the Lord. And then Samipya, near, close to the Lord. Because in Vaikuntha is a huge place. In Vaikuntha also there are so many different planets. So in Vaikuntha, one of the portion is where Lord Vaikunteswara, Lord Balaji, Lord Venkateswara, different incarnations of Lord Vishnu, where awe and reverence is there. Master-servant relationship. Dasyras, awe and reverence, that is there. So there, it's so much, there are 7 doors to even where Lord Vishnu. so much long distance is there. Samipya means very close to the Lord. You may be, otherwise you may be in Vaikuntha, but you may not be directly seeing Lord Vishnu, or you may not be in directly, or you may be in a distant place, but still you are in Vaikuntha. So that is, there is a difference between Salok, the same planet, versus Samipya, close to the Lord. So that is same opulence as the Lord. Doesn't mean you will be exactly Lord Vishnu. Everybody has four hands there. Almost look like Lord Vishnu, but it's not the same as Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu has four or five features separate from the jivas, even though they are liberated. So these are the ordinary liberation. But here Krishna is mentioning, by performing this work and offering results to me, rather you will attain me to Golok Vrindavan. You will attain me in Sakyaras, Dasyaras, Vatsalras, Madhuras, in these rasas, in Golok Vrindavan. Not even beyond Vaikuntha, but above that is Ayodhya, above that is the Dwaraka, above that is Jagannath Puri, above that is Mathura, above the Mathura is Golok Vrindavan, highest planet within the Vaikuntha realm. So that's where here Lord Krishna is mentioning that you will attain me. He's telling Arjuna, is giving that assurance. So that's why. So when so and then Prabhupada is making that point that any activity you perform, all the reactions, everything will be nullified. The karma bandhanas. So otherwise, ordinarily, because generally, if somebody gives charity, so if somebody does give charity, if somebody gives $100 to someone, if he has performed impious sinful activity and that result of that $100 is coming from sinful activity and you are giving it to somebody, if that person is using it, then he is also getting the reaction of the person who has given to him, because that is coming from the sinful activity, the result, and then he also will get the reaction of that sinful activity. This is the ordinary material activities. But anything which is offered to Krishna, automatically it will be purified, both pious and impious. So that's why there is a whole chapter Krishna is speaking. Charity in mode of passion, charity in mode of goodness, charity in Krishna conscious. How whom charity should be given, whom not to give. There you can clearly see. Otherwise, you can feed poor people. You can give it to somebody, but you don't. You will not even know where he is going to engage the money. How he will utilize the money. You can give money, or you can give clothes, you can give food, or you can give education. But at the same time, you have to give them some Bhagavad Gita. You have to tell them about Krishna conscious activity so that he will utilize properly. Otherwise, the reaction you will also get, because you are the one who's giving. If he is going to engage in wrong activity, you will get the reaction too. And so that's why that ordinary charity has that effect. The result will also be there, positive and negative both. Even though you are doing the charity help, trying to help, but reaction also will be there in ordinary material things. But in Krishna consciousness activities, that's not so. So everything will be purified. So that's why Krishna has mentioned moksha is a karma bandhana. All those positive, negative, everything. It is not any more karma kanda, reactions from any more karma kanda. So that's what Krishna is stressing in this verse. Now from the 28th, now we'll come to the today's section. Now people may ask question. Arjuna may ask question, because here Lord is seeming to be a favorite to his own devotees, but not a partial. Hold on, somebody is not on mute. Okay. You may be partial to his devotees only. So that's why Krishna is speaking this verse now. Samoham sarva bhutesh na dveshost na priya. That verse Krishna is speaking, because after explaining about simply is getting liberation, not only liberation, not only even Vaikuntha, but beyond, you will directly attain him. So that's why then people may have doubt. Arjuna is expressing that doubt, so that's why Krishna is speaking the verse. How is favorite to the devotees? And then it is explained like where, and further I forgot to mention from the previous verse where it is mentioned Vimukti, liberation, it means attaining Krishna, where the Acharya is quoting Sukadeva Goswami, Muktim dadati karichit smana bhakti yogam. Those engaged in in Lord's service, they are attaining the direct favor very easily. So otherwise, generally, Lord doesn't give very easily anybody bhakti, especially anybody direct service. He may give liberation, but he may not give direct service to Krishna. But in this case, Krishna is giving because he is offering everything to Krishna. He is so much in love with Krishna, so that's why he is giving the direct service. In this, that is the intention of this verse, indicating that vimukti and that achievement of direct service to me. So that is a very important point. Now we have to understand the examples. We see that in the Bhagavatam. Gajendro Bhagavad Sparshad Vimukto Ajnana Bandhanat Prapto Bhagavato Rupam Pita Vasas Chaturbhuja. Because Gajendra, king of elephants, had been touched directly by the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was immediately freed of all material ignorance and bondage. Thus, he received the salvation of Sarupya Mukti. In which he achieved the same bodily features as the Lord, being dressed in yellow garment and possessing four hands. So there Prabhupada is making the point. It is well, don't think, oh, Gajendra is at higher level. What is going to happen to us? There Prabhupada is making the point. If one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead by having his gross body touched by the Lord, his body turns into spiritual body and he can go back home back to Godhead. Gajendra assumed the spiritual body when his body was answered by the Lord. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj assumes his spiritual body in this way. Archana Paddhati, daily worship of the deity, provides an opportunity to touch the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, it enables one to be fortunate enough to get a spiritual body and go back to Godhead. Not only by touching the body of the Supreme Lord, but simply by hearing about his pastimes. So that's why I keep stressing every day in every class pretty much. You have to hear because Krishna himself is stressing in the 9th chapter, 7th chapter, 8th chapter, almost pretty much in the middle 6th chapter, Krishna is keep stressing. You have to hear about me. Otherwise, there is no way you will know me, know about me. That means you can never enter into the spiritual world unless you know him, know about his pastimes, his name, his qualities, his activities, what he wants us to do, how he wants us to serve. We will not know anything. If we don't hear until that point, we will not know any of it. So that's why it's very important. Here, that's how we can enter, go back to Godhead. How we can. So here, Krishna Prabhupada is making that point clearly. Not only by touching the body of Supreme Lord, but simply by hearing about his pastime, chanting his glories, touching his feet, offering worship. In other words, you see this point. By serving the Lord somehow or the other, one is purified of material contamination. This is the result of touching the Supreme Lord. Somehow or the other. That means you could be serving directly, you could be serving indirectly. If you are not a pujari on the altar, you could be indirectly serving by helping them by cutting vegetables or by making garlands, by bringing the things which is needed. You are indirectly helping. When you are situated, better situated, then you may come to that stage. But at least you can start. You don't need to think that, oh, I'm not there, I'm not a first initiated or second initiated, I can't do it. Then it doesn't apply to me. No, it applies. It applies. By doing the indirect service, also you are getting the result. Slowly, you will be able to come to that level after some time. So that's why this process is very important. This is the result of touching the Supreme Lord. One who is a pure devotee, Anyavilasa Sunyam, who acts according to Shastra and the words of Supreme Personality of Godhead, certainly becomes purified, like Gajendra. He assumes a spiritual body and returns home back to Godhead. Not only that, then why? How? By chanting the holy name of the Lord, we can directly get Krishna Prema. So that Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned. Tattva Vastu Krishna, Krishna Bhakti Prema Rupa, Nama Sankirtan Sabha Ananda Swarup. The absolute truth is Sri Krishna, and loving devotion to Sri Krishna is exhibited in pure love, is achieved through congregational chanting of the holy name, which is the essence of all the bliss. So the chanting of the holy name is the essence of this age. That's why one must chant the holy name of the Lord, starting with one round. Gradually, we should come to 16 rounds. It doesn't require so much effort, but it requires practice. Slowly, we have to mold our life, and then we'll be able to do 16 rounds. Won't be a difficult task. Initially, yes, because we have so much complications in life. So that's why we don't have time for chanting. But otherwise, slowly we can get there. If you have at least desire, then Lord Krishna will help you to come to that desire. Go about that. So that's why it is come. We have to pray to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Krishna and Balaram appeared. Dui Bhai Hridaya Kshali Andakar, Dui Bhagavat Sanghe Karan Sakshatkar. But these two brothers of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda dissipate the darkness of the inner core of the heart. Thus, they help one meet the two kinds of Bhagavata, person Bhagavata and book Bhagavata. In this way, one can develop the love for chanting. So, since we don't have real attraction for chanting, that's why we have to worship the deity, offer something to the deity whenever we go to temple. We be in the kirtan, we be in the association of devotees, we take Krishna Prasad. All these other methods we do so that we can properly chant, we can develop real taste for chanting the holy name, hearing about the Lord's glories, starting with the name. So that is the most important method in this chanting process, in this process of Krishna consciousness. That is the first and foremost. Now, the coming to this today's section, we're discussing the. Now, people may question, devotees may question. Arjuna is questioning here. So, you may be favoritism, showing favoritism. So, that's why in this verse, Samoham Sarva Bhute. No, I am equal to all. Just like you go to shop. Somebody wants, no, I want to pay only $5. I want to get this. Somebody wants to pay $10, get the same thing. So you have different qualities of rice, you have different qualities of grains, you have different qualities, same thing, but different quality. If you pay less, you will get this quality. Same thing with the cloth. If you pay more, you get the higher quality. But he is giving what based on what you are paying, you are getting the that same particular object, but at different qualities. Same way here, Krishna is mentioning, Samoham Sarva, I am equal to all. I am actually providing everything. Whatever is needed, basic necessities, everyone. Not just, I am not restricting to anyone. I am rather giving it to everybody. But Name Dveshosti Na Priya. I am equal to all. I am just like High Court judge. Yes, he may give for those who are committed sinful activity, he may give death punishment. But he doesn't have any grudge or envious to that person. He's only seeing what he has done. Accordingly, he's giving the result as just in the mediator, he's sitting in the post. Same way, Lord Krishna is seeing what karma he has done. He's only getting the result, what he has done. He's not. He's being impartial. But there is a special case here. The last two lines. Ye bhajan tu. Tu is mentioned. But if one who renders loving devotion or mam bhaktya to me, Lord Krishna, Mayi teshu chapyaham. They are friend in me, and I am a friend to them. They are always in my heart. I am always in their heart. For who? For those who are rendering loving devotion service. So devotion, this bhakti is always devotional service. It is not devotion. Devotional service. That means just like you have a family member, you have love. Otherwise, why are you serving? You are serving your parents, you are serving your kids, wife is serving husband, or husband is serving wife. Whatever the case may be, family, extended, you are serving. That means there is a love. Same way, if you want to develop love with Krishna, Sri Prabhupada, spiritual master, then you must do service. If there is no service, then how you are going to develop love? No, I don't like to do service. Then how you are going to develop love? Chanting is also service, but we don't have attraction. Nam nam akar बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति तत्रार्पिता नियमिता स्मरणेन काला एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन ममापि दुर्दैव मीदृशी आज na anuraga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is saying that I don't have attraction even though you invested all the powers in the holy name. So he's teaching a lesson that really we don't have attraction. We are mechanically chanting, picking up the beats because somebody asked us to do. Somehow we are doing. But if we want to develop taste, then we must do some service. Anyway, we are asking. That is what Hare Krishna Mahamantra means. We are asking, oh, all attractive Lord, oh, Almighty Lord, please engage me in your service. But we don't want to do service. So we have to understand this and slowly, gradually do some service once a week or once a month, whatever is convenient, depending on our situation. We should mold our life in that way. Then we can come. That's why Krishna is mentioning. One who is doing service to me, loving service out of love and affection, then he is very dear to me. I am always there in their hearts and they are always in my heart. In both ways, it is love is not one-sided. It is if you are coming to Krishna one step, Krishna is reciprocal. You are not able to see, but Krishna is always reciprocating. So more than if you are doing one step, he is taking 100 steps towards you. You are not able to see, but definitely Shastra is clearly telling that he is reciprocating. You are not the loser when you are in here. So that's why clearly he is making this point here. Not only that, so where our Acharya is mentioning some more details. Uh, Vishwanath Chakra, Baladev Vidyabhushan is saying, you liberate the devotees and bring them to you, but you will not do this for non-devotees? Then do you, the Supreme Lord, not show some prejudice in the form of preference and repulsion? Then is answering. Since all living entities who possess unequal natures, unequal forms, unequal species among devas, men, animals, non-moving entities attain these forms according to their karmas, I, creator, maintainer, the Lord of all beings, equal to all, like the rain, which sprinkles water on all varieties of seeds. I do not have hatred or favoritism to all, towards any of them. But what too, however, is added to show the difference between the devotees and non-devotees. Those who worship me, however, who please me with hearing and other devotional process exist in me. Because of attraction to me, bhaktya, though I am the Lord of all, I exist in them because attraction to them the Bhagavan, full manifestation of Lord as love for devotees. So then what is doing? Then Sukadeva Goswami is quoting Bhagavan Bhakta Bhaktiman. The Lord has bhakti for devotees. This indicates a special interaction in prema between the Lord and God. So that he exemplified it by using example of diamond sitting on a gold. Gold is devotee, diamond is the Lord. So gold, both are being, so it gets magnified even more. It is beautiful. So Lord, the reciprocation is mentioned by that example. So in that way, by serving the Lord, we are getting the greatest benefit. We get automatically glorified by serving the Lord. Lord always wants to glorify his devotees. That is the understanding of that verse. Now, verse number 30. Next verse. The people may ask the question further. So that means even if they commit sinful activities, abominable activities, then still is called devotee. He will be having he will attain you. So that question may come. So that's why Krishna is speaking next verse. Is giving some conditions in that also. अपि चेत् सुसूदुराचारो भजते माम अनन्यभाग साधुरेव समन्तव्य सम्यक व्यवसितो सा. Very careful. This verse has some significant details. So first one is apichet, even if suduracharo. Acharo means good activity based on the prescribed duties from Shastra. But suduracharo means irreligious activities. That means against. If Shastra is saying something, you are doing something against that. That is suduracharo. But in this case, it's but bhajate mam ananya bhav. Three things are mentioned here. First of all is sadhu. Second of all, samyak vyavasita, and then the third of all, ananya bhav. If these three criteria is met, even if he is performed uh, abominable activities by accidental fall down, that's what we have to understand in this verse. It's not willingly, it is accidental. Avichet, even if suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhav. So even if one commits most abominable actions, when what the condition, what the criteria is, because we may think, oh, I'm performing some activity, oh, Krishna will think, will forgive, I can go back. No. So clearly that condition is three things. The person is only worshipping me alone. So that is the first condition. Second condition, only bhakti to me. That means no karma. Is not looking for fruitive activity. Is not looking for some benefits getting in this world or going to the higher planet. None of that. Zero of that. No jnana either. Is not looking for knowledge. Is not looking for merging into Brahman effulgence. Neither is trying to get some mystic perfection like yogis. Is not looking for any of those benefits. Not only the third one, is only desiring me. Is simply desiring in loving service to Lord Krishna. That is only desire here. If these three things are met, by chance, if he accidentally commits a mistake, that means somehow or the other, like Ajamila's case. Ajamila was a nice devotee, nice Brahmana, son of a Brahmana. He was helping his father and engaging in Brahmanical duties and services, worshipping the deity and all that. And suddenly, when he was trying to get some things for that worship, when he was coming, then he saw a man and woman hugging each other in public place, then finished. This is accidental problem because he didn't expect, he didn't wantedly commit that. By seeing that, then agitation has come, and then he committed that activity. So because he has accidentally committed, then he has taken that route. Then he leaves his wife and then he marries that prostitute whom he saw. And then he has 10 children, not one, even up to 90 years old. He was very old. And the last son, but the mercy of, because of his previous Krishna conscious activities, he was able to name the son Narayana, the last son. Then he was always thinking, so much attached to his child Narayana. He used to call Narayana, come here, eat. Narayana, come and sit here. Narayana, do this. Narayana, always calling Narayana because of the previous Krishna conscious activities. And then at the time of his time is up, then Yamadutas came to snatch him, snatch his soul. That is simple act is ready to go to hell. And then at that time, we called out because we seeing immediately who is this black people having so faces are so ferocious and nasty, having the chains and whatnot. Then he was so horrified. Then immediately called out to his son Narayana. Then as soon as he called out, then four Vishnu Dutas right away came. As soon as he uttered the Lord Narayana. So that's where there is ensued a fight between the conversation between Vishnu Dutas and Yamadutas happened. Then they went to Yamaraj and asked, I thought you are the controller. He is so sinful, but we couldn't take him back to you. How come? So you are the Lord. Then Yamaraj told, no, no, no. When you you heard the name Narayana, that means he has finished all the reactions, all sinful activities he has nullified by simply chanting the name. I am not the Lord. You are mistaken. Actually, he is the Lord. Under Lord Narayana's direction, we are working. So I am not the Supreme Lord. I am only dependent. I am only a responsible person. I am working under him. So in that way, so that is why the chanting of the holy name works, and it's accidental fall down in Ajamala's case. And then Ajamala was delivered. So then he came to senses. Vishnu Dutas let him go. The Yamadutas let him go, and then Vishnu Dutas also left. Then he went to Haridwar, and 6 months he understood. Then he left his home, went to Haridwar, and then finally he got liberty. He went back to Godhead. This is one of the accidental fall down. There is another case also, another example of Bilomangal Thakur. Belomangal Thakur was a great devotee, but suddenly he was always engaging in Bhagavad Katha. He used to take different charities, beg money, and then used to engage in the service of the Lord for various Bhagavad programs. Then suddenly one day when he came to this crematorium, where some prince, daughter of prince also was getting cremated at a young age. She passed away at that time. And then she had so much jewelry and everything. They are cremating like that. Then he came to that place somehow. He heard or whatever the case may be. Then he saw that because he was looking for somehow or the other, because his duty was taking the charity and taking the money and engage in the service of the Lord. But somehow or the other that it is there. Then he saw his jewelry and everything. Why are they cremating like that? Then he tried to take. Then he heard the voice from there that don't take it from here. I have a jewelry box, a lot of jewelry, lot of wealth is there underneath in a bed at such and such place. Go and ask my father. Then he went and asked, and then he got it. His father gave all the wealth, used it. Then still he needed some. He finished all that, and then he still needed it. Then he went back again to see the. Then he tried to take. Again, there's a this pastime. I don't know which Purana was telling, but this is there. And then because he has taken, he has already been told not to take. Then that curse was there on him, that woman, that prince curse. Obviously, this is not from Kali Yuga. This is from, I think, previous age. This incident, this past time, I think. So that princess curse, you are going to become take birth. You are going to become. So he attracted to the woman. So that's how both of them actually. The princess who died became Chintamani, prostitute in the next life, and then Bilomangal Thakur also was running woman hunter. So he was attracted. But otherwise, Bilomangal Thakur is at Bhava Bhakti, at highest stage. But this was accidental fall down. While serving the Lord, while offering everything in the service of the Lord, somehow or the other, he was thinking he will use that money, that jewelry is there on the dead body also. He thought, then somehow or the other, he got cursed in this way. Then in the next life, he was attracted to this woman. Even when it was heavy rain, pouring rain, he ran after that girl. He forgot about everything because of that curse from the previous life. because he was a Ananya Bhakta. He was only serving Krishna. He was whole life he was engaged in that. Because of that, these three criteria met. Even though it was accidental fall down, accidental curse, in this life still that is there. Some for a few days or few years he had to suffer. He was attracted by this, but the one day Chintamani told, "What you are doing in this rain, in this condition? If you are able to come to me, that means you have wasted simply your life. If you could have 1 minute, you could have chanted the name of Lord Krishna, then you could have been in a completely different state. Uh, Ultimate happiness you could have got. What are you doing?" Then he realized. Then he left immediately and ran from there. So then later on, then there was where he used to beg. Then that attraction was still there, because the what attraction, the male to female attraction is always takes long time to cut it. It takes long time. So in that case, so he went to beg, but in one family, then he saw a woman was giving something. Then he was attracted to her. Then immediately realized his mistake. Then he asked for a hairpin and he poked his eyes right in front of her. And then he was became blind. Then he went like that because he repented for his action of doing that. Then went on like that. He was searching for Krishna. He was crying for Krishna in that way. Then after a few days or few months, then Krishna himself was helping him. Krishna himself used to come and give milk and give different things. So that's how he became Belamangal Thakur, great Acharya. He wrote so many songs and he wrote a book, Krishna Karnamrata. So very deep subject matter. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to hear with confidential devotees, very intimate subject matter. But this is one of the pastimes. So this is accidental fall down, even though he was at a higher stage, Bhava Bhakti. But these three conditions are met. So he is worshipping only Krishna, he is not doing karma or jnana or yoga, and his desire is only to attain Krishna. His desire is only to love Krishna, no other thing. Then in those situations, if there is accidental fall down for whatever the case may be, there are other examples also. In those cases, Lord Krishna, if they don't need to perform atonement, like ordinary people, the smartas or others say that you have to atone for your sinful activity, and no one should deride him. Sometimes you may see devotee fall down in this way, who is completely attached to Krishna, engaging in devotion service very nicely, but somehow or the other, if someone deride him because of his sinful activity, abominable activity, thinking that who is this devotee? Is not a devotee, is this, is that, then he will be a great offender to to the Lord. So here Acharya is explaining. So let's read. It's very careful. We have to be very careful. We should not fall, laugh against those devotees. Sometimes we see that devotees may perform, but this is specifically those who are long-term, dedicated, sincere devotees. Sometimes because the Maya is very strong, we have to be very careful, always under the guidance of the spiritual master and advanced devotees. We have to work, we have to do the services so that we don't commit mistakes, we don't get allured by anything. So that's why here Prabhupada himself is making the true Durachara used in this verse is very significant. We should understand it properly. When a living entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditional, other is constitutional. Constitutional means our original nature, which is servant of Krishna. Conditional is because at the conditional stage we may serve A, B, C, X, Y, Z, but in material modes, not in a spiritual consciousness. But that is different. And the constitution is you understand your original position as a devotee of the Lord, servant of Krishna, and then you serve. So that is the constitutional position. So that's what Prabhupada is making the point. As far as possible, devotee is very cautious so that he does not do anything that could disrupt his wholesome condition. He knows that perfection in his activities depends on his progressive realization of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as most abominable socially or politically, but such a temporary fall down does not disqualify him. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that if a person falls down but is wholeheartedly engaged in transcendental service of the Lord, being situated within his heart purifies him and excuses him from that abomination. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi fully engaged in the service of the Lord sometimes becomes ensnared. But Krishna consciousness is so strong that such an occasion fall down is at once rectified. Therefore, the process of devotion service is always a success. No one should deride a devotee for some accidental fall down from the ideal path. For as explained in the next verse, such occasional fall downs will be stopped in due course as soon as devotee is completely situated in Krishna consciousness. Devotee who fallen down shouldn't be derided. He should still be considered saintly. That is a sadhu, even if he has accidentally fallen down. And the word mantavya is still more emphatic if one does not follow this rule and derides a devotee for his accidental fall down, then one is disobeying the order of the Supreme Lord. The only qualification of a devotee is to be unflinchingly and exclusively engaged in devotional service. That is a qualification. You cannot say means anybody performing this simple activity or abominable activity, you cannot consider this verse. This verse is applying to the person who is unflinchingly engaged in devotional service. When he performs abominable activities, then this verse applies specifically. So that's what here. And then Prabhupada is quoting Narsinga Purana, where he's quoting that it is like these activities is like a, like we see in the moon, some spots, like a rabbit spots. So it is compared like that. Bhagavati cha harav ananya cheta brasa malino api virajate manusya nahi sasa kalau cha avi kadachit timira prabhavam apaiti chandram. This means that even if one fully engaged in devotional service of the Lord, sometimes found engaged in abominable activities, these should be considered like the spots on the resemble like the mark of a rabbit on the moon. Such spots do not become an impediment to the diffusion of moonlight. Similarly, the accidental fall down of a devotee from the path of saintly character does not make him abominable. On the other hand, one should not misunderstand that a devotee in transcendental devotional service can act in all kinds of abominable ways. This verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connections. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against the illusory energy. As long as one is not strong enough to fight the illusory energy, there may be accidental fall downs. But when one is strong enough, he is no longer subject to such fall downs. Advantage of this verse. So, no one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If he does not improve in his character by devotion service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee. And as I mentioned, the three things: worships only me, only bhakti, no karma, no jnana, no yoga, and desires only me. These are the qualifications for, when we say that this verse applies. Accidental fall down. Further, where it is mentioned that Prabhupada is making the point in and quoting Bhagavatam verse 11.542. Chaitanya Charitamrita is mentioning the idea is that we should be very careful. Nobody should think that he is beyond the range of material energy. At any time, we can fall down. But if we stick to Krishna consciousness, always thinking of Krishna as our protector and take shelter unto his lotus feet sincerely, then even if we fall down sometimes, not intentionally but accidentally, we are practiced to so many bad things. But so it may be possible that even if I take full care, still the influence is so strong, I may fall down. But Krishna excuses such kind of fall down, excuses. But if we intentionally think, oh, because I am in Krishna consciousness, because I am engaged in devotion service, I can do any nonsense, then Krishna will excuse. No, not like that. Krishna will excuse you provided you do not do anything intentionally wrong. This is a clear point Prabhupada is making in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 21, verse number 62 to 67. In that particular class, Prabhupada is making that clear point. We should be generally those who are in Krishna consciousness fully. I have already explained to you, they have got all these 26 qualifications. Then how do you know that one is unflinching? Prabhupada is making that point. The one who got the 26 qualities, that is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. When we see these 26 qualities is fully present, that means he is perfect in Krishna consciousness. If those qualities are not present, that means there is still, I mean to say, that touch of contamination of material nature is still there. Hmm. That's what we have to understand from this verse. And then Bhagavatam verse, Prabhupada is quoting, Swapada Polam Bhajata Priyasya Takta Anya Bhavasya Hari Paresha. That means Swapadam is completely taken shelter of lotus feet of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna by love. Bhajata Priyasya, very much in love, reciprocate. Takta Anya Bhavasya. He doesn't have any other, no other intention, no other motives. Only Krishna. Takta Anya Bhavasya Hari Paresha. Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. Vikarmayach Utpatitam Katanja. Somehow or the other, accidentally, Utpatitam fallen down by engaging abominable activity. Dunoti Sarvam Hridis Annivisto. Automatically, I will purify him. So, because he has done by accident. One who has given up all other engagement and has taken full shelter at lotus feet of Hari, Supreme Personality Godhead, is very dear to the Lord. Indeed, if such a surrendered soul accidentally commits some sinful activity, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated within everyone's heart, immediately takes away the reaction to such sin. So they just need to continue the process. They don't need to do atone this person, this puja, that puja. What should I do? No, they don't need to do anything. They just need to continue chanting the holy name of the Lord, worship the deity, take Krishna Prasadam. Same activity that automatically purifies them. So they don't need to do some anything, some separate, some new process. Baladev Vidyabhushan, my quality of being controlled by pure bhakti is my very nature, cannot be given up. The Lord intensifies the meaning of his previous statement by saying in the present verse that he is attracted to even the devotee with despicable activities. If an Ananya Bhakta, even doing very degraded activities, worships me, serves me by singing my glories, by other activities, he should be still considered worthy of respect. Sadhu is Ananya in the sense that he does not worship or take shelter of anyone other than me. He accepts me alone as a supreme goal and master. The word Eva Sadhu Eva means that he is worthy of worship in any case. Therefore, everyone should accept this fact, Mantavya. It is the injunction of the Lord Himself not to do so as an offense. Lord then support His order by giving the reason that why the devotee is worthy of respect in any case. He has the best type of conviction in the form of being fixed only on me, Samyak Vyavasita. Ooh, it is very rare to find devotee like that. So that's why Lord is so much in love also, even if he is committed some abominable activities. So that's why we have to be very careful not to laugh at those devotees who might have committed some accidental, simple activities. So not deride them, not laugh at them, because that will be an offense, and we will also fall down from that. Like Saubhani Muni, he was laughing, he was stopping this Garuda from eating his fish because he is a bird, but he is a carrier of the Lord. He shouldn't have done it. He thought I am a great yogi because this not Kaliya was telling Saubhari Muni. Then because of that, then Garuda thought, he thought, Saubhari Muni thought, I am great, I am yogi, I can do. But then because of that activity against Garuda, finished. Immediately he was attracted by seeing a fish. Then he went and got married. So the king's daughters, so many of them. Then he realized after so many years that I have wasted my life. How I got attracted because the fall down is happened because of obstruction against the devotees' activities. Garuda, that's why we have to be very careful not to obstruct, especially those who are servants of the Lord, those who are dedicated their life. We should be very careful how we treat them, how we, not laugh at them. So now further continuation, next verse. Then people may ask question. Oh, Shastra says if somebody is not sense control, not is abominable, then how can he attain you? How can he say that he is a devotee? So that question, that's why in the next verse, Krishna is pointing that out, that it's not so. Kshipram bhavate dharmatma sasvachantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanayame name bhakta pranasati. Then Krishna is mentioning, he quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So there, Prabhupada is making the point. Generally, a devotee who is engaged in the 9 kinds of devotional activities, engaged in the process of cleansing all material contamination from the heart. He puts the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, and all simple contaminations are naturally washed away. Continuous thinking of the Supreme Lord makes him pure by nature. According to the Veda, there is a certain regulation that if one falls down from his exalted position, he has to undergo certain ritualistic process to purify himself. But here there is no such condition. Because of his the purifying process is already there in the heart of the devotee. Due to his remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly, therefore the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare, continued without stoppage, this will protect the devotee from all accidental fall downs. He will thus remain perpetually free from all material contamination. So that's why it is so important to always chant the holy name and never give up chanting the holy name at any point of time. Don't stop with 16 rounds. Whenever you get opportunity, chant the holy name, whether through clicker or the fingers, however it may be. But we should always chant the holy name. And then Baladev Vidyabhushan is speaking. He who has not given up evil deeds, who is not peaceful or control his senses or mind, cannot attain the Lord, even through knowledge. He's quoting Katha because people may have this question through Katha Upanishad. He cannot be a devotee, but how are you saying that he is your devotee, even abominable actor? Then how then can you consider them proper if the scriptures condemn such simple persons? This is the question Arjuna is raising or others rising. So that's why Krishna is addressing this in these verse. This statement you have quoted concerns persons whose very nature is sinful. But the person who exclusively worships me is purified of his incidental sinful acts by me, the Lord of all beings, who are most purifying. Because I hold the devotee in my mind, he then very quickly becomes steady in proper conduct, Dharmatma, continually repenting his previous acts, Chavat. He attains Nigachati, complete cessation, Shantim, of all those sinful acts which are obstacle to remembering me. The Smartas will not consider such a person proper if he has not performed atonement rites. Controlled by attraction to his devotee, the Lord then replies with slight anger, O son of Kunti, going to that assembly of Smartas, declare, my exclusive devotee, if he commits sinful acts out of negligence, he is not destroyed. He does not become separated from me and attain misfortune, rather purified by me, who am most purifying. He shines with qualification to attain me. The Murti says that Swapadamol I mentioned, one who has taken, that verse, and then what was said relates to Smartha atonement, which is meant for those following Smartha rules, persons other than my exclusive devotees, but remembrance of me is the most powerful atonement. The Lord addresses Arjuna as son of Kunti to indicate that this claim will be announced by a person coming from devotional lineage rather than that of lineage of uh, any other ill repute or smartas. So in this way we can see. And then Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur, different commentary is giving. Very quickly becomes righteous. The present is used not in the future to express the fact that having committed sin by remembering the Lord, he becomes repentant. Thus, very quickly becomes righteous. Oh, how unfortunate I am. There is no one as low as I am, bringing bad name to the devotees. Repeatedly, he feels completely disgust for those actions. This is a devotee who has committed abomination. He is thinking, he is repenting. Hmm. Or the use of the present tense can indicate that in future he will develop righteousness fully. But even right now it exists in a subtle form. After taking medicine, though the destructive effects of fever or poison remains for some time, it is not considered seriously. Thus, with the entrance of bhakti in his mind, the sinful actions are not taken seriously, and the traces of such sin, such as lust, anger, should be considered insignificant, like the biting of a toothless snake. Thus, he attains nigachati, complete cessation of lust, anger, santim, permanently, Saswat. In Nigachiti, Ni stands for Netaram completely. This means that even during the stage of having tendency to commit sin, he has a pure heart. If he eventually becomes righteous, there would be no argument. However, if devotee is sinful right up till his death, what is his position? Then his Lord is speaking. The Lord, affectionate to his devotee, then speaks loudly with little anger, O son of Kunti, my devotee is never destroyed. At the time of death, he does not fall, but argues with harsh tongues, will not respect this. Krishna then encouraged the worried, lamenting Arjuna, O Kaunteya, going to the squabbling assembly with a tumultuous sound of drum, throwing your hands in the air, you should fearlessly declare what? Declare that my devotee of the Supreme Lord, though committing sin, does not perish, but rather reaches success. Arguments defeated, pride defeated, they should undoubtedly respect you as Guru. This is Sridhar Swami's explanation. But why does the Lord order Arjuna to declare this when he could do it himself? As he will say later, Mami Vaisya Satyante Pratijane Priyosme. I declare to you that you will truly come to me. You are very dear to me. The same way, why does he not now say, I declare Kaunteya that my devotee does not? The reason is explained. The Lord considered as follows, being affectionate to my devotee and not tolerating even a slight degradation of my devotee, I will, under the circumstance, uphold the declaration made by my devotee, whereas I can break my own promise and accept the criticism of myself, just as in breaking my own promise in fighting with Bhishma. I fulfilled Bhishma's promise. Thus, hearing a declaration from my mouth, the materialistic disputers will laugh, but they will accept Arjuna's declaration as if written on stone. Therefore, I will have Arjuna make the declaration. And thus, one should not accept the statements of the falsely intelligent persons who, after hearing about Ananya Bhakti, even of the greatest sinner, think that this declaration made by the pure devotee cannot apply. In cases where attachment to wife and children, sinful acts, lamentation, illusion, lust, anger, and other despicable qualities manifest. So in this way, we can understand this how Lord is very shows very favoritism to his devotees. How glorious to engage in pure devotion. No one can protect what Krishna can protect, even if he is performed. Even Lord Vishnu also. In the case of Bhrigu, Bhrigu has went for a search. Who is great? Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna, Lord Brahma. Then went on, then like that, then finally reached Lord Vishnu, and then he wanted to test. He put his feet on the chest of the Lord. Lord didn't say anything, utter a single word. Rather, he asked, "Is your feet all right?" So he was so calm, quiet, and natural. And then he could understand he is the real Lord. He is the master of everyone. Then he came to his senses. But Lakshmi Devi took it as an offense. Because of that offense, Bhrigu Muni has to take the reaction. So Lord didn't take, because Lord always, Amanina Manadena, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching, he doesn't take seriously for himself. But if anybody does criticize, especially the pure devotees, and then he will take that an offense. Anybody doing harm to his pure devotees, Lord takes offense, but not to him directly. In this case, he has done directly to the Lord, so he didn't take it as an offense. But rather, so he was, but still, Lord is so merciful to Bhrigu that Bhrigu had to take the reaction. Then he became a hunter in the life when the Jara, when Lord was leaving the planet. His pastimes are over. Lord Krishna then Lord went to Prabhas Kshetra, then he arranged because these demigods and all has to go back. So knowing that, because if they are in Dwaraka, Dwaraka is so Mangala Sumangalam, it is mentioned. Anybody who is in Dwaraka remembering Krishna, Dwaraka Krishna, they will go back to Godhead. Then all these people, what is going to happen? They have to go back to their demigod position. So then Lord has made an arrangement, different arrangement that they will go to Prabhas Kshetra. They will fight. So that's how it happened. They moved away from Dwaraka, and the Lord also about to leave the planet. There he arranged this pastime. By his illusion, by illusory power, he created a body. It is not a material body. Lord doesn't have material body. Then this Bhrigu Muni has become a Jara hunter. This is Prabhupada is quoting Madhvacharya giving in Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya. In that Madhvacharya is explaining how this exactly how Lord Krishna leaving this planet of Jara, releasing the hunter, thinking that this red lotus feet is always red. That's why whenever you see the deities, you can look at the lotus feet is always red. So then by seeing the red, then he thought it's a deer. Then he released the arrow. Then it rushed, and then Lord Krishna left the planet. But it is not a material body in that sense. It was illusory form. Illusory body was created for this specific purpose. Lord was not tolerating for Bhrigu to become a hunter. He wants to deliver. So that's why he created this scenario situation. So when he releases the arrow, then it was touched. As soon as it is in touch with the Lord, then he got purified. He went back after that. Hunter is that form of the body is lost, and then he went back to Vaikuntha. Bhrigu Muni was purified because Lord is so shows his favoritism. Even if he makes not intentionally, he makes some mistake and offense, then Lord purifies, Lord relieves. Like that, so many examples are there. So in this way, we have to understand how glorious is to be always engaging in pure devotion service, developing the attraction and love for Krishna. No matter what, we should never give up this love and attraction and service to Lord Krishna, and that will save our life. No one else can protect. Neither our wife, or husband, or family, or kids, or wealth, no one can protect. Neither doctors, no one can protect. But Lord Krishna can protect his representatives, Prabhupada and the spiritual master can protect us, as it is already mentioned. Declare, Arjuna, boldly declare, my devotee never perishes. So, when we are pleased by the spiritual master, and Mr. Prabhupada is pleased by our activities, then we have we can have full confidence that we will never be perished. We will remember Krishna, even though we forget. Guru and Prabhupada will make us remember Krishna at that time. They will personally come to take us back. So that is their promise. So Prabhupada has made the promise. He will go back to Godhead. And that also means in this verse, another place, Prabhupada is making the point of Abhichet Sura Charo. That one must don't think that, oh, I can do 16 rounds and 40 rounds, 50 rounds, 100 rounds of chanting, but I will not follow four regulative principles. That Prabhupada is making the point. Even in my presence, even when I am gone, anyone, whether sannyasi, any devotee, anyone, if they don't follow regulative principles, they will fall down. Prabhupada is making that point in the purport or in the one of the class on this verse, Apichel Sudurachara. Don't take it lightly. Be very careful, especially the four regulative principles. Some are easy, but the most difficult is the male to female attraction. That is the most difficult one out of those four. So, Prabhupada made that clear point there that in my presence itself, I have seen the, those who are not paying any heed to it despite my instructions, and then they will fall down without a question. So that's why this is we have to be very careful. So that's why we have to read, hear, chant, and follow Prabhupada's instruction carefully. Then we will be always be protected, and we'll go back to Godhead in this life as long as we follow His instructions. That is the assurance we are getting from Lord Krishna directly in this within this section 29, 30, 31. Favoritism is devotees. Any questions? Comments? Let's see. Anyone has any questions? Comments? You're unmuted. You can.
No, Prabhu.
No? All good?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, go ahead. Asay Kurma Jagannath Prabhu. Yeah.
No, Prabhu, other Mataji will talk to something. So after that, I will talk. Prabhu.
Okay. Go ahead. Whoever is asking.
Sorry, Prabhuji, you can go ahead. I'll ask after yours.
No, Prabhuji, Mataji, first you ask question. After that, I have another topic in Bhagavatam topic. So I'll ask something to Prabhu.
Okay. Yeah, sure, Prabhuji. In that case, thank you, Prabhuji, for today's class. That regulation that you were talking in the end, like the Srila Prabhupada said, it's pertaining to the four regulative principles, or
Yes.
is he telling about chanting and hearing and reading? Is it that, or is it the four regulative principles?
Four regulative principles. Is telling along with the chanting, along with the process of service, but this must be followed because some
Four regulative principles.
yes, some devotees, some people thought that those are taken lightly. Generally, this attraction will be there if they are not doing proper chanting. Sometimes they used to go for book distribution. They didn't take seriously chanting. They used to give one day it's all right. Tomorrow I'll make up the rounds like that. No, you should never make up. There is no making up business. That's only in emergency. Like Janmashtami, whole day you are working doing service. You don't have time. It's all right. But otherwise, any given day, we should never making up round business. We should finish the same day the rounds, whatever prescribed we are doing, 1 round or 16 rounds, whatever the case, we should finish the same day. So that must always go on, and yeah, that is the first and foremost business sequence or the order Prabhupada has given. Health is first. If you have children, small children, that is second. Third is chanting the holy name, 16 rounds minimum, and the fourth is hearing, the fifth is reading. This is the sequence Prabhupada has given clearly. That so we should follow that, making sure our health is fit, body is fit to be used in the service of Krishna. We should take care of it very carefully, not neglect, not do Nirjal and all, any of those things. If the body is not fit, we are not capable of doing it, we shouldn't do it, not at the expense. Then we will not be able to do service next day. So all those things must be considered. Whatever activities we should do, we should not do at the expense of giving away Krishna's service. If you are not going to have energy, it's all right. To that extent, Bhakti Siddhanta said, you are going to Russia, you are going to this country to preach, you are not getting any vegetarian, you eat as well as you can eat meat. Because for the service of Krishna, for the service of Krishna, if things are not available, that is the extreme case. But to that extent, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati went. So that means that service should never be forsaken. So not at the because today is Ekadasi, I will stay home and I will do the Abhishek, but I will not do to come to temple and do service. No, service must be priority. So if you are doing regularly and Ekadasi also we should do. Even though it's difficult, then we shouldn't do Nirjal. So all these things must be considered. Essence and the principle must be understood. Then we can control the senses. The rules are there to control the senses as long as we understand the essence and the principle. Otherwise, it will become just a rule, not knowing the actual underlying the principle, why the Ekadasi is there. Ekadasi is meant to serve Tulsi Marana. Ekadasi is meant to please the Lord and Guru. That is the only purpose, not for any. It is not for austerity of the body. That will automatically byproduct will come. Yes, by eating less, body will be fit, but that's not the result we are looking at. So that's why these things must be considered. Anyway, we're coming from that four regulative principles. It will be controlled as long as you are hearing, as long as you are chanting, as long as you are doing service and reading the Prabhupada books. Even if you are not reading, then you are attentively listening. If you are not reading, then you are attentively listening Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, then it's almost as good as reading. Ideally, we should read. But in case someone has some issue with reading, then yeah, they have to very, very attentively hear. Attentively hear. No multitasking at that point. Not chanting and hearing. That won't work. You have to focusly hear what Krishna is trying to tell, what Prabhupada. Then we will not have these agitations of any of that sort, coffee, tea, or much more bigger things in the four regulative principles. Otherwise, it's very difficult to give up this attraction. It's so difficult because the continuation of agitation will go on for many lifetimes. Otherwise,
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Yes, go ahead, Prabhu. Ashish Karna Jagannath Prabhu.
Haribol Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam to everyone. Prabhu, regarding this is related to Bhagavatam, Prabhu.
Okay,
Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 10th chapter, 21, 22. I think that to 5th canto, 21 and 22 verse.
Okay.
So that thing I need some clear idea. I have some questions like Rahuguna. Similar questions like Rahuguna. So
yeah. What's happening?
Can you give some light?
First, you have to ask the question: what's happening with Rahugana? Yes, King Rahugana is being taught by Bharat Maharaj. So,
yes.
What is the question there?
The question I'm talking with here, Rahuguna is telling that should I read the verse first? After that,
you can ask the question directly.
Directly?
There with the subject is what is the question?
And yes, Prabhu, just 4 line I can read that will purify myself also.
Okay,
that's right. Yes. Drashtahu smaraho karmata atmano bhai bhartur gantur bhavotas chonu manne yatha shato danaya nadi abhavat Shamula isto bhavahara margaho. So translation is asking that he asking to telling to Bharat Maharaj that I am Jada Bharat Maharaj. So I am not fatigued from labor. Although the soul is different from the body, there is fatigue because of bodily labor and appears to be fatigue of the soul. When you are carrying the palanquin, there is certainly labor for the soul. This is my conjunction. You have also said that the external behavior exhibited between the master and the servant is not factual. But although in the phenomenal world it is not factual, the product of the phenomenal world can actually affect things. This is visible and experienced. As such, even though material activities are impermanent, they cannot be said to be untrue.
Yeah, so what is your question? That's clear.
Question is that here he is telling that soul is different from the body. That is correct.
Yeah.
There is fatigue because of bodily labor and appears to be fatigue of the soul. So my question is that whatever the soul is different from the body.
Correct.
But But whatever soul is experiencing something, right? Due to the soul's desire, he's getting that type of feelings or feel not the feelings, that type of reaction, right? Am I correct? Oh.
So soul is different from body. If you read continue further down, the example is given. I had mentioned in one of the class in Temple Sunday Feast lecture that it is Rahugana is saying he is thinking he is intelligent. Then he is thinking that it is, and he gives an example that this absorption, this pain, this carrying the palanquin, as it is mentioned. That it is like you are eating the milk and you have the rice in the milk. And then as you heat up, milk also getting heated, rice is also getting heated. So same way, so fatigue is there. I am feeling it. Yeah, but it is not so. It is like you are going to the car and there is accident. Then yes, those who are too much attached to the car, too much attached to the body, bodies are nothing but a car. It's a field of activity, material body. It is true in the sense that it is reality. It is not false. This body or the car or the milk, everything is reality, but it is temporary thing. But because of the absorption with the car, you feel that accident has happened, and you will be morose, lamenting, "Oh, why did this happen to me? I'm a devotee. I'm chanting. Why did this happen to me?" For a few hours or few days, depending on how much absorption you have, it will be that long you will be thinking about that activity that long. So that is, but one who is realized, you will not just moved on. I give example of Prabhupada himself getting to accident. He didn't utter a single word. He just normally he was as usual, and then he went back to their room. Then as though nothing has happened. Prabhupada didn't say a single word. So this is the difference between the realized soul who has the soul, the ordinary person who has soul also. Because of his absorption, he will feel that he is fatigued. Soul is getting tired, but it is not so. Like Prabhupada was not eating hardly anything he ate last 6 months before leaving the body. But he was all right. He was all right. He was speaking Bhagavatam and everything. But other devotees are saying, Prabhupada, one Ekadasi, we are not able to, next day we are so hungry. How you are within 6 months, you hardly ate anything. How you are? And Prabhupada said, yes, this is the example. You can show everybody this is the proof. Body and soul is two different things. Soul doesn't depend on the body. Prabhupada clearly told. I am the example. You can see. So that is the difference between realized. Then how will we come? By practice. Jada Bharata has practiced, but he is acting because he doesn't want to show to anybody. That's why he acted on as a dumb and deaf. I didn't utter a single word until he realized that King Rahugana has some spark to be taught. It's not that because he chastised, he became lamenting. Why is he chastising me? He is disrespectful. No. Actually, he realized that this King Rahugana needs to be taught. He has some spark. He is a leader, he is a king. He needs to be taught a lesson. So that's when Bharat Maharaj realized it. Okay, let me give him some instructions. So that's how almost 3 or 4 chapters, very, very important instruction on this matter. Then King Rahugana realizes that he is not ordinary person. Is actually advanced devotee. He understand this subject. But initially he was thinking, I am intelligent. I don't need anybody's advice or instruction. That's how Rahugana was thinking. That's how we also think many times. Somebody gives instruction, somebody says you are doing wrong. Immediately our false ego gets, bubble breaks. We don't want to listen. We don't want anybody's instruction to be considered. But actually, ideal devotee means he will consider positive things from anybody coming. So, these are the lesson. Is that clear? Or you have any confusion?
Yes, Prabhu, no, just a very nice explanation. But my still now there is something I want to know from you that need to be clear that soul is there. Soul is not body. That is correct.
Yeah.
But whatever body is experiencing,
correct.
That soul also experiencing, right?
Correct. Right now, because conditioned. That's why. Because of the absorption.
Okay.
Because
and
of absorption,
next,
just like you are wearing the shirt. Shirt is torn apart. If you are attached to the shirt, you will feel because shirt is torn, then you will feel why it is torn, where did it got torn, how did it got torn. You will be thinking about it. I just bought it yesterday only, I spent $100. You will be jumping up and down thinking about it for some time. But one who is realized, oh, what's wrong? I'll just remove this and wear another one. Not a big deal. Move on. Because we understand this is temporary. This is just a outer layer of the body covering. So we move on. So that is the same way. But the soul is feeling because soul is covered with the subtle body and subtle body is covered with the gross body, the layers. Soul is feeling because of the absorption only soul is feeling. Otherwise soul will not feel that absorption. Soul will not feel happiness or distress. But it requires a lot of practice to understand this. Until it comes to our own realization, it may not make sense, but that is the reality. Otherwise, why
Oh,
would you see Bharat Maharaj? Why would you see Sri Prabhupada? Why would you see and these so many devotees examples throughout Srimad Bhagavatam? How can they not feel? Despite so many things are happening, they are not feeling anything. Haridas Thakur, can you be in that situation, that absorption? Haridas Thakur is beaten 22 marketplaces. Then how is he not feeling? If you are beaten one time itself with that thing, you will feel right away. You will feel. But then how is he not feeling anything? And then despite that, even on top of it, he is praying. Please forgive them. Those who doesn't know, they are beating me. Please forgive them. That means he is not operating on the soul. Soul is not absorbed on the body because he practiced. He is realized soul. That's why he is able to operate on that. Same thing with Prahlad Maharaj. All these examples are given. One who is realized. That's why Prabhupada is making that point. How do you know who is a devotee who's done accidental mistake? Yes, if he is having these 26 qualities, he is perfectly in Krishna consciousness. Yes, if he done accidental fall down, for him it is all right because Lord Krishna will immediately bring him back because he will be absorbed in my remembrance. Automatically, he will be purified. Just a matter of few seconds or a day or two. That's about it. But if he is not in that category, then obviously he will go through the absorption. However, years of practice he may have, but still absorption will be there because he has to come to this perfection of developing these 26 qualities. So that's why we are discussing last 4 days in the morning Bhagavatam class. We have to first understand what is the ideal character of a devotee. 26 qualities. If we don't even know what is the ideal character, we don't know what the goal is, how will you get there? First, we have to understand what these qualities are, what we are supposed to do, what we are not supposed to do. Then we can get there. If you don't even know what that is, then you can't get there. So then
he,
absorption cannot go.
yes, Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranama, you are correct, Prabhu. I am not that position. I am very attached to that. So I am not able to understand this thing, but you already explained properly. And next verse also, same thing. Just 2 minutes, Prabhu. I'll take 2 3 minutes
Yeah,
only.
few verses are talking the same thing, little more details, and then
Yes.
example is this example what I told is there, the milk
Yes.
rice eating.
Yes, milk rice there. Yes. Sthali agni tapot payasho abhitapas tattapotas tundula garva randhiyo dehendriya bhashaya shani karsat tat smaridyo purusha shanurodhat. So King Rahuguna continue, my dear sir, you have said that designations like bodily fatness and thinness are not characteristics of the soul. This is incorrect because designations like pain and pleasure are certainly felt by the soul. You may put a pot of milk and rice within fire, and the milk and rice are automatically heated at one after another. Similarly, due to bodily pains and pleasures, the senses, mind, and soul are affected. The soul cannot be completely detached from the conditioning.
Yeah, that is the same example. Bhagavad Gita beginning with that. Bhagavad
Yes.
Gita second chapter what Krishna is saying. Krishna is giving
Yes.
the example. Soul cannot be burned, soul cannot be withered, soul cannot be moistened, soul cannot be cut. When somebody is cutting with a knife, what is happening? Soul is not getting cut. You can't even see the soul. 10,000 people are there. How can you cut it? It is just
Yes.
body is being died, and then soul is leaving from that place and then entering into different place, another body. Whether it is going to hell or wherever it is going, that we will not know until the person what he has done activity. Then we will have to consider the facts and corroborate against Shastra. Then we understand where the soul went, what kind of body he has got in the next life. But otherwise, it is clear. From second chapter itself, all along, Krishna is keep saying this. It is much more with examples and Bhagavatam it is explained. But otherwise, Krishna is giving fundamentals in the second chapter itself.
Yes, Prabhu, I got that one, but here that the line is similarly due to bodily pain and pleasures, the senses, mind, and soul are affected. Is soul are affected?
This is King Rahu Gana is speaking. Bharat Maharaj is not speaking like that. King Rahu Gana is saying, what you are saying, oh Bharat Maharaj, you are saying incorrect. Actually, soul is getting affected because he is thinking what he has felt is right. But it is not right so. He is thinking he is smart, I am king, I know, I have the knowledge. He is thinking like that and he is telling that you are incorrect. But that's not so. Then the son Bharat Maharaj is speaking, no. Then he explains much more detail about the soul and body for almost many verses. Then he realizes. Until that point is because this body and soul cannot be realized, and it has to come to your own realization. That will come when you practice this process of Krishna consciousness. Then it will come to your own realization. Then only you'll have faith. Otherwise, it doesn't sink into your brain. You will not be able to understand this point. So,
yes, got your point. Yes. So actually, the truth is that soul is not affected, right, Prabhu?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Body, yes, bodily pain and pleasure. By that, the pleasure and pains does not affect the soul.
Look at that. Forget about us. Lord Krishna is coming. Shalva is fighting, or sometimes this Dvivida is fighting against Lord Balaram. Then or King or Varaha or Vamana, not Vamana, Varaha. He was fighting. Then these demons also. Hiranyaksha was fighting, and then he was putting with this club. He's hitting as though it was hitting the Lord's body. But did Lord felt anything? No, he didn't feel anything because his body is transcendental. Every pore of everything is transcendental. There is nothing material about it. He didn't feel it because Sachidananda Vigraha, whole body. Our actual original position also Sachidananda Vigraha. Right now we are conditioned because of this absorption of the body only, these three modes of material nature. And then we are going through this suffering and whatnot, all the conditions we are going because of the absorption. That's why we have this material body. Until this absorption doesn't go away, till that point we will take out different species of life. When this absorption or the dualities goes away, then only means we are coming to the liberated stage. Na sochati na kankshati. That is the perfectional stage. But until that point, definitely soul also will feel the presence. Soul also will feel the distress. Soul also will feel the happiness. Because it is coming through the gross body, subtle body, and then soul is also getting it. But doesn't mean that actually a real self-realized soul is getting anything. That was the condition Arjuna was in. Arjuna also thought, Bhishma, Drona, all these people I have to kill. All my families I have to kill because he was absorbed in the family relationship. But he didn't understand if he is the last life, who are they? Is Bhishma, Drona, who are they in the previous life? Who are your father, who are your wife, who are his husband? Completely different. This life only this is happening. Next life somebody else. Then why do you worry? So that future vision, the understanding of the soul, understanding of its connection with the Supreme Lord to be understood thoroughly, then we don't see the temporary. Today we have a long-term vision, long-term goal. We are not bogged down by the short-term vision and short-term goals. That is the problem we have day to day.
Okay, Prabhu. Got it, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam to everyone. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay. Thank you very much. This Friday.